If you've been thinking about buying a vacation rental property, you might be wondering where to start, as well as what things you should know about, how to avoid the pitfalls, as well as how to identify a winner. Well, in today's video, I've got you covered. Let's get right to it. When it comes to rental markets, every market is a little bit unique. Some municipalities have outlawed Airbnbs and short-term rentals as we know it, whereas others, they're encouraged. But before we go diving into the details, let's cover some of the basics. A lot of people need to have a profit within the first year for this purchase to even make sense. I'm here to tell you, in a lot of markets, that can happen. That's a reality. But I want to warn you that there are several markets, plenty actually, where that's not the case. Ocean City, New Jersey, where I work and live, is one of those where it's extremely rare to have positive cash flow within the first year. So make sure that you have a clear understanding of your goals, a clear understanding of how you intend to use the property. Is it just an investment? Will you be spending time there yourself now or in the future? You need to get very, very clear about your goals and objectives before you make a move. Let's cover two fundamental things you need to understand before we dive into the pitfalls. Now, one of the things that a lot of people don't even think about is when they're buying a vacation home, do they have the ability and capability to check in on the property and manage it themselves? This is pretty common sense the way I'm going to break this down for you, but the more work that you outsource, the lower your profitability is going to be. When you're making decisions like this, you need to understand the value that's provided by these services. Property managers, cleaners, what are they doing for you for the amount that they're charging? A lot of times you may find out that it's not really worth what they're charging based on the service they provide. So make sure you find a value add resource for any work that you anticipate needing to outsource. The second thing is, again, to make sure you understand any requirements, any rental minimums that are mandated by law, whether within the city, county, or state, before you make any bad assumptions. There are people who will unfortunately try to leave that in the dark so that you don't necessarily know that you can't use Airbnb in the short term, or if there's a timeline where that may no longer be the case. So make sure you find out and do your research, but the easiest way to do that is to find a local expert real estate agent to help you through. Now, for the three major pitfalls that I've personally seen and spoken with a ton of buyers who have considered buying a vacation rental, because that's the market that I live in. We are a second home destination. Number one, as simple as it sounds, is not running the full financials. You wouldn't believe how many people simply believe what they're told. On the MLS, you may see rental income of $40,000 plus per year. Well, is that gross or net? Are the expenses already taken out of that? What does that even mean? So you need to get very clear about what the financials are going to be, and that's running from the top line revenue all the way down to your net profit at the end of the day, and including closing costs, every other dollar that could come out of your pocket. What is your return on your investment going to be? Again, if this is an investment only decision, that is your guide. This is a black and white decision. If you are going to be using this property personally too, your preference may play a role. You may find a property that has a 5 or 6% ROI, but it's not as good, in your opinion, as the one that generates 2 to 3%. It doesn't have the pool, right? It doesn't have the layout, the style that you want. So only you can make the ultimate decision, but make sure you run the financials no matter what, so at least you're making an informed, confident decision. Another mistake that fortunately none of my clients have made, but I've heard others make this mistake, where they buy needing the maximum rental income in order to even keep the property financially, to really afford it. That's a mistake in waiting. As we saw with the pandemic, that threw everybody for a loop. There were some people who simply could no longer afford to keep their second homes because the rental income season may have gone out the window. So you don't want to find yourself in that situation. When you're buying a second home, obviously lenders will qualify you whether you can or can't afford it, but make sure that you and your personal budgeting, whether you have a financial advisor or if it's just yourself, your spouse, your family, make sure you're making a smart decision and not over leveraging yourself and opening yourself up to unnecessary risk. And the third, and honestly the most important pitfall in my opinion, and this is not biased, I promise you, is working with a real estate agent who doesn't specialize in vacation rentals. Not all agents are created equal. Yes, there are certifications like the RSPS, which I have the certification for, that should qualify you, or it should give you some peace that this agent, who you may or may not be talking to, knows what they're doing. But you need to ask the right questions. You need to really make sure that they understand and they can talk through the financials with you, the niche specifics about vacation rental properties. Otherwise, you're going to be listening to bad advice. It may not be intentionally bad, but it may be uninformed nonetheless. So make sure you find an expert in the market you're looking for. And if you want help with that, I'd be happy to connect you with my network of second home specialists, so feel free to contact me. Any of the ways you see in the description, I'd be happy to point you in the right direction. And last but not least, what everybody always wants to know is, how do you identify the winning properties? How do you find that diamond in the rough, the one that's going to ultimately not only make a great investment, but is going to pay off in the long run? The first thing I want to mention is an echo of what I already said. You need to know your goals. I like to tell people who are looking to invest in Ocean City strictly from an ROI standpoint, you're better off looking in Detroit. You're looking in the wrong market if you're looking for just cash flow returns and cash on cash returns, because that's simply not how this market works. Others may, but there's going to be a better situation if that's your only focal point. So again, make sure that you know exactly what your goals are, what your priorities are, and decide accordingly. Number 2 is the namesake of real estate: location, location, location. What I've seen here locally on our island over the past few years is that location stopped mattering as much. Inventory was so low that anybody, as long as they could be on the island, would buy just about anywhere. What we're starting to see now that the market has calmed down a little bit with interest rates rising is some of those, I'll say, subprime or subpar, not ideal locations are seeing price drops, while the more ideal locations simply aren't. So make sure that you find a location that is going to be desirable, no matter the climate of the environment, because you never know when something is going to happen. You may need to offload your second home. You want to be prepared for that by making the right choice the first time. Last but not least, this is a big one, is looking for a way that you can add value to the property, whether that's through repairs, that could be through leveraging or increasing the rental rates that you've seen, through Airbnb or other sources. If you can add value to the home, view it like a business. How can you come in and improve the financials of the business and make it more attractive to potential buyers down the road? So make sure that you understand what possibilities are out there. Again, talk with the real estate agent who you've chosen, hopefully by this point, to understand how you can truly, and where and what magnitude you can improve the value by. That, my friends, in a nutshell, is Vacation Rentals 101. I will be putting out more videos like this where I'm going to be digging a little bit deeper in the vacation rental market. So make sure, if you haven't already, you hit subscribe down below and hit the notification bell so that you are the first to know when those new videos do come out. If you have any questions, you can always drop them in the comments or contact me directly. Again, everything is in the description. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I will see you on the next video.